Hey there, my name is Angela. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to rip the color grading from any movie or TV show and apply it to your videos in Premiere Pro or your photos in Lightroom. So let's get started. The first thing that you want to do is to figure out what movie or TV show you're trying to copy the color grading of. And once you've done that, you have to find a screenshot of whatever scene it is you're trying to copy. And today I'm going to be using FilmGrab for this. So FilmGrab is a website that has a lot of different screenshots of various films. And today we're going to copy the color grading of Dune from 2001. What's cool about FilmGrab is it has the movie and then a bunch of different scenes photographed to choose from. So I'm gonna copy the color grading of this guy and let's just download that. So if you're looking for a Netflix film or a TV show, you're not gonna find it on this website. So your best bet is to Google and find something to screenshot or save based on what you find on Google. I find that with Netflix, it's a little bit harder to find different screenshots because of their blackout screen rule when you try to screenshot something. But I've done it. I found something off of Google from Netflix and copied the color grading from that, so it's not impossible. So now that we have the screenshot that we're trying to copy the color grading of, we're gonna jump into Premiere Pro. So currently on my timeline, I have several videos of the beach that I took a couple weeks ago, and I currently have this adjustment layer right here to color correct. So without this adjustment layer, you can see this was shot in C-Log 3, so it's very faded and has no contrast or saturation. So with this adjustment layer, I simply corrected that and added some contrast and saturation and yeah, basic color correction. So what I'm gonna do is select all of these and move them over a bit and drag my Dune screenshot to the front of my sequence. It's just easier that way. You can drag it wherever you want to. And then I'm also going to have an adjustment layer created. I already had one, but I just wanted you to see me make it in case you're like, how do I even do that? And once you have your adjustment layer, clicking it and dragging it and putting it on top of the already present layer, the color correction layer. And with this new adjustment layer, what you're gonna do is cut it for each clip. And now each clip has its own adjustment layer for it. And what we're gonna do now is go down here and click this button that says Comparison View. And you'll see right now that this image isn't taking up the whole workspace. So I'm going to actually increase the scale of that until it does. All right, and now it takes up the whole workspace. And what I'm gonna do is select the part of my timeline that is a clip I want to adjust the color grading for. So you can see my, what is this called? My sequence line. Hold on, I'm gonna just Google this right now. Huh. Ah, my playhead. I knew that. I felt like I knew that. All right, so my playhead. I'm gonna take my playhead to whatever clip I'm trying to adjust. So you'll see it in the comparison view. And then I'm gonna select the associated adjustment layer. And what I'm gonna do is go into Lumetri Color and let's go down to the color wheels and match. And honestly, this is probably the most intimidating part of Lumetri Color for me. The color wheels, I always feel like I don't know which colors to match with which, and just adjusting them is always hard for me. So this little tool comes in clutch because all you got to do is click Apply Match, and because you're in comparison view, it will match the wheels to the comparison view. And you'll see here the color wheels have adjusted, and this is what it looks like without it and with it. And we're just going to do that for every single adjustment layer for every single clip now. Okay, So now we have applied the match to every single adjustment layer, and just going through them, you can see that every single color wheel is slightly different, and that's because it makes that adjustment based on the clip that is selected in the comparison view. So that's why you should have an individual adjustment layer for each individual clip. And you'll see that the color grading definitely changed, but it's not really a perfect match. And that's because some of the footage is a little bit more saturated than what was in Dune. But what we'll do now is kind of adjust the colors accordingly. So this first clip right here, the blue is way too saturated. So I'm gonna go into that adjustment layer and actually go to curves. And we're just going to go to hue and saturation, click that blue. Oh, I clicked a yellow spot instead. So click a blue spot, yeah, and then drag down the saturation. And then let's actually adjust the hue as well and make it a little bit more greenish. Yeah, cool. So I think that looks a lot better with those adjustments made, because without it, looks a little saturated, but then boom, boom, I think it looks a little bit more like Dune's image. And you kind of just go around and make adjustments accordingly based on your own preference. And that's how you copy the color grading of any movie. So now let's move on to photos. Before we move on, I would like to remind you to give this video a thumbs up if it has been helpful thus far, and to hit that subscribe button if you want to become a Voyager today and join me on this creative journey. So now we're gonna jump into the photo portion of this, and I'm gonna let you know right off the bat that Lightroom Classic does not have an apply match button. So we gotta work for our results here, and you'll see what I mean in a second. So let's just jump into Lightroom. So this is the photo that I am going to be copying the color grading from. It's another screen grab from the movie Dune, and I'm going to be using this photo as a reference photo. And to do that, I'm gonna press Shift R, and then I'm going to grab this photo, drag it and drop it so it's a reference photo. And then I'm gonna choose this photo as my active photo. So this is what I'm trying to turn into the Dune-esque scene. So first what I'm gonna do is go down to color grading. And when I do that, I'm gonna select the shadows and go to this little box here, which allows me to choose a custom color. So I'm gonna use the pipette and go to a shadow of the reference photo and select it, and you can see that the active photo shadows change to match the reference photo. I'm going to do the same thing for the midtones and for the highlights. And you can see right off the bat, this looks nothing like the Dune photo. My original photo is way too saturated and purpley and pink in comparison to the greens and blues and darkness of the Dune photo. So now I'm gonna go to the basic tab and try to fix that a little. So firstly, I'm gonna bring the exposure slightly down to match that vibe more. And then I'm gonna change the temperature of it to make it a little bit more warm and the tint to make it a little bit more green. So we're definitely getting somewhere now. It looks a little bit closer to the Dune photo, but still not really an exact match. So we're gonna go to the color mixer next. And what's cool about the color mixer is it has this little circle tool that you can just click anywhere in your photo and adjust whatever setting you're set to adjust. So let's start with luminance. I'm gonna bring up the luminance of the sky. I think that looks a little bit better. And then I'm gonna bring down the luminance of the mountains and maybe right there. Okay, so I think that's all I can really do with luminance as it stands right now, but then let's move on to saturation. So the sky is a little too saturated for me, so I'm gonna bring it down. Cool. Now let's adjust the hue. So I'm gonna change the yellows to be more green. And I'm essentially just playing around with it until it matches the dune photo. And one thing that just stands out a lot to me is this foreground in the dune photo is way darker than my foreground. So now I'm just gonna add a mask to try to compensate for that. So, boop, bring the exposure down. And then I'm gonna make some final touches with the hues and maybe with the temperature a little bit. The temperature and the tint. And honestly, that's pretty good. It's not an exact match because it's not the same exact photo, but I think compared to what we started with, it looks a lot more like the dune scene. And with that, that is the end of this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And until next time, bye.